More Americans are fleeing to Canada. You're a Canadian, I believe. What's going on here?
They're going to Canada right now for a bunch of different reasons.
Goodbye, Donald Trump. We're moving to Canada for real.
Suddenly, after mocking us for decades, millions of Americans want to move to Canada for a better life. Interesting. You know how you have that big border below you to stop them from doing the same thing? Yeah, we have one of those too, because you're our Mexico.
According to Statistics Canada, there's been a 72% increase of Americans seeking to migrate to Canada compared to previous years.
Goodbye, DT. We're moving to Canada. For real. Millions said it, but now they're actually doing it. A 72% increase in Americans fleeing to Canada, and that number is still climbing. Here's what's really going on.
Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about what it's like living in Canada after moving from, United States, particularly Philadelphia. And here's my perspective. First, it's like a clean slate because you're moving to a new country. Things are different. The credit system is different from back home in the States. So when you come here, it's completely, clean slate credit. You have no credit, and, some banks will give you the opportunity to establish them. So it is, it's an opportunity to do things the right way the first time. So that's one thing. And also, it feels a lot calmer and less crime than like an inner city like Philadelphia or wherever. But I grew up in Philly, and I constantly I just got accustomed to looking over my shoulder a lot, and I kind of do that here, but in some ways I don't have to. It is crime here, but not as nearly as bad as some of these inner cities. So that's definitely something right there. I would say if you're in the healthcare field, it's definitely for you to come here because they're very short-staffed in the healthcare field, and they're looking for people. So that's definitely something. And
y'all, today is the first day that my son, an American kid, has his very first soccer practice in Canada. And as some of you know, my family and I own a ranch in Montana. But after seeing where our country is headed, we were led to start exploring other countries abroad. And so far, we are in Calgary, Alberta. Sadly, our family was attacked this week by a MAGA Facebook page that has 6 million followers. And the comment section alone basically proved what I've been saying. There were so many racial slurs directed at my family. People saying things like this, folks saying that people that live in Montana saying that, oh, they don't own a ranch here. Oh, they're on Section 8. That's a lie. She's lying. But y'all, I want to tell you guys, that racism is why we are exploring other countries. Although we love our property in Montana, it's absolutely beautiful. We wake up to some epic views, but the racism, the lack of community takes a toll on you, especially when you're raising Black children. And being here in Calgary, Alberta, it is not only family friendly, they have universal health care, which, we know it's not always a perfect system, but at least you're not going into debt if you had something, broke an arm or something like that. Safety, you don't hear about school pew-pews. There's none of that here. The kindness of Canadians, the nature, the green spaces, the parks, the diversity. There is so much to love about being here in Canada. And I want to encourage you all to start looking at other places.
A clean slate. That's how he describes it. And not just emotionally. Even your credit history doesn't follow you across the border. You're rebuilding from zero, which for some people is exactly what they need. The guy also made a point that doesn't get enough attention. Canada is actively short-staffed in healthcare. If you're a nurse, a doctor, a technician, Canada isn't just welcoming you, they need you. And that piece about crime, growing up in Philadelphia, always looking over his shoulder, he said that habit followed him to Canada. But slowly, he's realizing he doesn't have to. That kind of peace doesn't happen overnight. but it does happen. The story about the Montana family is very powerful. A black family from Montana, a family that owns a ranch, decided to explore Canada after seeing, in their words, where their country was headed. The family owns land in Montana. They wake up to epic views. By every material measure, they were living the American dream. But a MAGA Facebook page with 6 million followers targeted them. Racial slurs in the comment, people saying they were lying about owning a ranch, and they were on Section 8. And the response wasn't anger, it was clarity. Racism, the lack of community, the weight of raising black children in that environment, that's what pushed them to Calgary. And what did they find there? Universal healthcare, safety, kindness, diversity, nature, a place where their children could just be children. That's not a small thing, that's everything.
As many of you know, my American family and I have been exploring Canada, and we are currently in Calgary, Alberta, and we absolutely love it. There is so much to love about Calgary as well as the other provinces here in Canada. But the thing that I love is, number one, the friendliness of Canadians. They have been so loving and kind and welcoming to our family. Number two, the safety that's here. You know, seeing kids able to play outside and be safe and to go to school and be safe is just, it's great. Number three, I love the fact that the USD goes further here, you know, so it's like we're buying everything at a discount. You know, number four, they have universal health care here, although it's not perfect and there are waiting lists for things. But the fact that you won't have to, you know, go broke or get into debt trying to pay a hospital bill just sounds amazing. You know, number five, the diversity. I love the diversity. I love that I could find food from all over the world here. I love the diversity of food. And six, nature. Being in Calgary and where we're located, we see the snow-capped mountains right now.
6 reasons: friendliness, safety, the exchange rate advantage. The US dollar going further means everything costs less. Universal healthcare. Imperfect but not bankrupting. Diversity and nature. Snow-capped mountains right outside the window. That exchange rate point is worth pausing on. For families making a major life transition, the financial cushion of the USD going further in Canada isn't a bonus. It's a lifeline. It buys time. It reduces pressure. It makes the leap feel less terrifying.
I may not have actually known what nice was until I moved to Canada, which is a really uncomfy thing to say. I started posting online about my move to Canada, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. And it's just me sharing about my journey, and the response has been far more than I could ever imagine. I'm so shocked at how much Canadians love their country and appreciate seeing their country through a newcomer's eyes, appreciate being appreciated. I am not familiar with this. I come from the US, where there is a lot of resentment and there is a lot of conflict. And here there's just so much ease and freedom. I mean, where else can I go to like the store and have a conversation with a perfect stranger and feel like, oh, we're definitely best friends now? It's so wild. I don't get it. And then like I posted a gratitude video basically a couple weeks ago for all of the welcoming that I've been receiving, all the acceptance I've been receiving online and just in general in real life. And that now has 80,000 views. That has never happened to me before. What? Like 3,000 of you are now following me. I cannot comprehend this. Just the energy here is so nice, so warm, so loving. And it makes it easy for me to be loving and kind and nice right back. So thank you, Canada. Thank you to all of the wonderful humans who have showed up in my world recently. I'm so grateful and so happy to continue getting to know all of you.
8,000 views on a gratitude video. 3,000 new followers in 2 weeks. A stranger at the store who felt like a best friend at the end of the conversation. She said something that's hard to shake, that she may not have known what nice actually was until she left the US. That's not a small admission. That's a woman realizing she's been living with the weight of a culture of resentment for so long. She thought it was just normal. Canada didn't just give her a new address, it recalibrated what she expected from the world around her.
I'm an American who moved to Canada with my family 2 years ago. I get a lot of people asking about the differences between living in the two countries, so I thought I'd do a little series. I'll talk about cultural differences first, but stick around if you want to hear about the affordability or healthcare situations. So, disclaimer, I spent most of my life in the Midwest US, but I've been all over, and now I live in British Columbia. Not trying to claim people from either country are a monolith, just gonna talk about my experiences. Religion is a big one. In America, Christianity was pretty woven into the fabric of everyday life. It was the default religion. Here in Canada, I see plenty of churches, mosques, and synagogues, but it's more of a personal thing that doesn't come up often in day-to-day conversation. Politicians don't really talk about their religion much in Canada either, which is cool. As a father of young girls, when I was out alone with my kids in the USA, it was pretty common to get stares, little old ladies asking me if I needed help, people congratulating me on quote-unquote babysitting, and so on. That doesn't really happen here in Canada. Nobody bats an eye at a dad being a dad. Gun culture is a big one. There's a whole day of mourning in Canada for the 14 women who were killed at a university in 1989. The US has almost 100 times as many school shootings as Canada, so there just wasn't the same sort of unanimous social grief for gun violence victims. I'm not a gun guy myself, so I really like living in a place where you don't see stuff like people carrying handguns to church or armed guards in grocery stores. Living here recently has been interesting, to say the least, because after Trump started the 51st state thing, Canadians really rallied together in a way that reminded me, strangely, of post 9/11 America. Boycotts are still happening. You go to grocery stores and all the stuff from Canada is labeled. American liquor was just straight up yanked off the shelves. Canadians are incredibly kind, but you'd have to be an idiot to mess with them. These folks will never forget the past several months, and getting targeted ads from Disney World or Las Vegas begging them to resume normal tourism is just making them dig in their heels more.
A few things stands out here. Religion in Canada is personal. It doesn't show up in political conversations, and politicians don't campaign on it. For many Americans, that alone is a significant shift. The fatherhood point is subtle but meaningful. In the US, a dad alone with his kids gets stares, questions, comments about babysitting. In Canada, nobody blinks. A dad is just a dad. And the gun culture comparison is sobering. Canada has a national day of mourning for a mass shooting that happened in 1989. The US has had nearly 100 times as many school shootings as Canada. Nearly 100 times. For parents, that number doesn't live in the abstract. It lives in every school drop-off. Post 9/11 national unity, that's the comparison he's drawing, and it's striking. Canadians, who are known globally for their politeness, rallied hard after the 51st state rhetoric started. Grocery stores labeling Canadian products, American liquor pulled from shelves, tourism boycotts. This isn't passive resistance. This is a country drawing a line. And yet, for Americans arriving with genuine humility and appreciation, the welcome mat is still out. These two things can be true at the same time. Canadians can be frustrated with American politics and still open their arms to American people. The distinction matters.
I'm reporting to you live from the socialist Canadian wasteland known as Vancouver. It's been another day in hell, guys. I don't know how much more I can take. My morning started on a sour note because despite it being the end of November, the weather is still too warm for me to wear my nice new parka. But I sucked it up and got on the low-cost public transportation to work. After work, I headed home where my neighbor gave me a samosa, but it was so hot and fresh that I burnt my mouth. Then I walked 3 minutes to the community fitness center, but my favorite treadmill was occupied, so I had to do the Stairmaster instead. Then I walked to the pharmacy to pick up my no-cost prescription, and guess what? They're out of spearmint toothpaste, so I had to get Cool Mint instead. Now I'm walking home, and what do I see but a bunch of horrible festive wooden stalls being put in our community square for the annual free Christmas market. And I can't even take a different route because then I'll be walking along the spruce and mountain-specked shoreline, and I hate getting sand in my shoes. I am going to be in such a bad mood when I pick up my children from their $10 a day daycare.
Low-cost transit, a neighbor with fresh samosas, a community fitness center a 3-minute walk away, a free Christmas market, a $10 a day daycare, a no-cost prescription, even if it was the wrong flavor of toothpaste. The satire works because it's true. The complaints are so minor they become the point. This is what the so-called socialist wasteland actually looks like day to day. And for Americans used to navigating a broken healthcare system, unaffordable childcare, and crumbling public infrastructure, it lands differently than a joke. Alright, so you've heard the stories, you've seen the appeal, but how do you actually get there? This is where most people get stuck. Here's a clear breakdown of what the process looks like.
An American wanting to move to Canada, this is everything you need to know. Canada is one of the most immigration-friendly countries in the world, and they have loads of different sponsorship types. From worker permits where an employer would have to sponsor your visa, to student visas, internship programs, and family sponsorships, but the PR program is really what we're going to get into. Anybody can apply for the Canadian Express Entry program that gives permanent residency if selected. It gives you a fast track to citizenship. They ask you a handful of questions like which province you're wanting to live in. You will have to take a language proficiency exam and then give them the results, and this could cost around $200. They've also asked what kind of jobs you have and if you've worked in Canada, and the education that you've had and if the education came from a Canadian university. And if you're ranked high enough, they will then allow you to apply for the program. They have draws at random, and if you're selected, you can then get the permanent residency visa. You can get a higher permanent resident number ranking if you have a job or a skill from a specific industry. Each Canadian province is looking for different types of skills. If you get a Canadian province sponsorship, you will get a way higher ranking for your permanent resident application, making it way more likely that you're approved. Anyone in the world can go on for free and see if they qualify to apply for the Express Entry. But if you go through with the entire process and end up moving to Canada on the permanent resident visa, it's going to cost you around $3,000. Your best bet in moving to Canada is finding a job where an employer will sponsor your visa or the permanent resident program.
Now, people that want to come here, it is a process that you have to go through. Me, I came through a family class, which is, I had a spouse here already.
So let me recap the key pathways. The Express Entry program is the most accessible route for most Americans. It's point-based, open to anyone, and you can check your eligibility for free online. The language proficiency exam runs about $200, and the full process, if you're approved, costs around $3,000. That doesn't include the move, but it's the price of a legal, permanent pathway to residency. Your score goes up significantly if you have a job offer from a Canadian employer or a provincial nomination, meaning specific provinces are actively recruiting for skills they need. Healthcare workers, tradespeople, and tech professionals tend to rank high. Other pathways, family sponsorship, student visas, work permits, all are available depending on your situation. There is no single door. There are several. Is it easy? No. Is it impossible? Far from it. And for the people in this video, the paperwork was worth every step. So what does all of this tell us? A 72% surge, a black family leaving their Montana ranch, a Philadelphia man rebuilding his credit and his sense of safety, a woman discovering what nice actually feels like, a Midwest dad raising his daughter somewhere where a dad is just a dad. These aren't people who failed in America. These are people who made a choice that something better was worth chasing, even if it meant starting over. Whether this trend grows, slows, or reshape the relationship between these two countries permanently, that's still being written. But the question it leaves behind is one worth sitting with. What does it mean when people stop threatening to leave and actually go?
You know why it's better to live in Canada than it is to in the United States? Well, let's look at 4 reasons. Canada has a significantly lower rate of crime. It's a much safer place to be. The Toronto Police Association created in 1957. In Canada, we have universal health care, great hospitals. Canada has one of the best education systems in the world. Many other places use ours as a model for theirs. And we've got Mama's Pizza. It's been around since 1957. So have I. Government documents are processed much faster in Canada. In the United States, you have to wait in a long line.
So what do you all think? Would you ever consider making the move? And what would it take? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, the creators' handles will be found in my description box, so go show them some support. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.